Hello and welcome to this World of Tanks tutorial. My name is Maxwell and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the map Mines and the tactics you should use. So first off, if we take a look at this simple map of Mines, the blue and yellow solid lines show the optimum scouting path whether you spawn at base 1 or base 2 respectively. The dotted line that continues on from these lines is the route that you should then take once your flank has either been cleared or you get spotted, and generally it is a line that leads directly through the most likely camping spots of the enemy's artillery. The red boxes with the words inside are pretty self-explanatory. They show the most likely paths and camping spots of each of the different classes of tanks, the heavies, mediums and tank destroyers. So first off, we're going to take a quick look at spawning at base number 1. In my opinion, base number 1 has the best scouting routes, so if you spawn on this side, you're in luck. So the first one is going to be the left flank spotting. So what you're going to want to do is get out the base and push across onto the left flank as soon as possible. I always point my gun down this little swamp area because sometimes you can catch out a tank destroyer or another light tank trying to rush up that area, and you can have a couple of quick cheeky shots at them. But what you're going to want to do is head up this little hill here and take cover just in this little bush. Position yourself properly, and yep, there we go. And this offers very good viewing down the entire left hand flank. Obviously always spin the camera around and make sure that you are well stealthed there. Again, if your tank is silhouetted entirely in white, then you are well hidden. And you can normally catch out the enemy's scout and possibly one or two heavy tanks trying to take cover on this left hand flank, because it does offer good shots at the middle region. Now, once this flank's been cleared, or if you get spotted, what you're going to want to do is push on across this little island here. And what you're going to do is just try and get across this island as fast as possible, because you may be taking fire, and get behind this rock here. This rock here offers good protection from the right hand side and good protection from the front in case you are under fire. If you want, you can just hang out there for a little while, do a little bit more spotting, but if the flank looks clear, then you're going to want to push further forwards and just always try and keep a couple of rocks between yourself and where you think the enemy could be located. And just push on towards the enemy's base here. Once you get through the water, sometimes the enemy's artillery decides to hang out in this little area just in front of where I'm driving, and you can pick yourself up a easy kill there. What you're going to want to do is pull up nice and snug to this mountain hill here, because you'll almost certainly have been spotted coming in. So you want to just take cover and do a little spotting there. If, again, you don't see anybody, what you can do is try and sneak forward to the enemy's base and take cover in this little bush, and you can try and get a cheeky cap while stealthed. So, on to route number 2 now, which is a lot more aggressive and a lot more dynamic if that's more your playstyle. We're just going to cover this route once for spawning at either base, because it is very similar whether you're spawning at base number 1 or base number 2, and that is trying to capture the middle. Now, you should only try and capture the middle under certain circumstances, and they are, number 1, if you are definitely the fastest tank and you can gain the highest ground before any of the enemy do, or if you're near the middle or top of the table and could be quite competitive in an actual firefight. So what you want to do is get there as fast as possible and take up cover, and what this does is, even if you're not necessarily defending the top, it has a sort of psychological effect. If you get the high ground first, then the enemy will be more reluctant to sort of go charging up there themselves. And also it has the added benefit if you can spot the enemy so that your artillery can try and take them out as they're trying to crest the hill. Now once you're up here, what you're going to want to do is maneuver yourself and take some cover behind these rocks, because from up here you are quite a sitting duck. But you can get some fantastic spotting done from this position, as you can see almost all of the battlefield from here. Poking through these bushes here, you'll find that enemy heavy tanks will most likely be trying to hug the side of this cliff, and if you can manage it, you can just do a little cliff hang there and get a couple of cheeky shots in on them, maybe doing a bit damage. And now on to the last route we're going to cover when spawning at base number 1, and this one is the right flank rush. This technique should definitely only be attempted if you are one of the fastest tanks on the map. If the enemy has a tank that's just as fast as you, then maybe don't attempt it. The only saving grace for it is that the enemy scout probably won't take this route. It's not a very well used route, so you generally will be safe from meeting another scout head on. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get almost as far right as you can and stick there, just to try and stay out of line of sight of the enemy tanks. And you're going to want to make your way around the little village here, obviously staying to the right to try and keep hidden, and you're going to want to pull up to this rock here and try and take cover behind these bushes. As normal, what you're going to want to do is spin your camera around and make sure you're stealthed. Just as a little note, you can see the little gap there between the bush and the rock. That means you need to get quite a way out to make sure you're stealthed from all angles so that people can't see you through that little gap. I know it's only small, but it does make a difference. Now from here you get a good view of the village and any of the enemy heavy tanks moving up through there, so then your heavy tanks and artillery can generally give them a good pounding. If you do take some fire or you do get spotted, you can just pop back behind that rock, wait till the heat wears off, and then pop out again. Now once the village has been cleared, or you get spotted, or if you just feel that you can make it, what you want to do is push on towards the enemy's base. And you do that by hugging the cliffs here on the right hand side, so that again anybody in the village is less likely to spot you, giving you a lot higher survivability when getting to the enemy's base. Now what you're going to want to do is just come up to this cliff here. Once you reach this cliff here, any tank destroyers or camping tanks just on that ridge there behind these bushes, you will be able to spot them, so that they'll make easy targets for your artillery. And if you have the hill, on the plus side, if they want to take you out, they're going to have to hang right over the edge of that cliff to get a shot on you, which means they are going to be sitting ducks. What you want to do is come around here as quickly as possible, up the little hill, and hopefully take out their artillery, which 9 times out of 10 parks here. The first route we're going to cover for spawning at base 2 is rather similar to when you spawn at base number 1. Apart from, in my opinion, I think base number 2 is at a slight disadvantage when it comes to scouting compared to spawning at base number 1. So, onto the route itself. What you're going to want to do is come up onto this right-hand-most island. Again, have a look down the swamp, as you may be able to catch a light tank coming up there. And what you're going to want to do is get to this rock here, just on the left, because you're not really going to be able to get any further forward without an enemy scout being able to spot you, or basically anybody coming out of the base will be able to spot you. But hiding behind this rock provides good cover from being shot, and you can just pop your head out, have a quick look, make sure you're stealthed, and then have a pop back behind the rock. That gives you good cover from artillery and enemy tank destroyers. Now if you get shot at from the position that we were just looking at there straight ahead, you can pull your tank all the way back here and hide behind the rocks, and that'll provide good cover from that position. So that's all you're going to want to do here, is basically just keep popping backwards and forwards to get yourself some cover behind this rock. And for some reason I'm showing you again that you can take cover all the way back there. Once this flank's been cleared, or you feel it's time that it's safe to push forward, you can take this route here. Try and keep far to the right hand side to give yourself some cover. Now what you can do is, if you are confident enough and you feel like playing more aggressively, is you can take this position right from the very start of the game. And what that does is it forces the enemy to either come down and take you out, or it forces them to hang over the side of that cliff to try and get a shot at you, which makes them a sitting duck for your artillery and bigger guns to just take them out. Now what you're going to want to do when you're ready is come all the way up this right hand flank here. Try and keep as far to the right hand side as you can, as that'll make it less likely that you'll get spotted by the enemy. So, and down here you are in sort of a natural dip, so you should be pretty immune from direct fire. What you're going to want to do is come up over the top here and just spot a few enemies for your artillery to take out. If there's nobody around, then you can just go ahead and push onto this little rock on the left hand side here, as the bush next to it provides excellent stealth and the rock itself provides good cover from enemy fire. There's sometimes a couple of tank destroyers camped just there, so just be wary. If you are confident that there is nothing around, or if you hang around long enough for that to be taken out, what you're going to want to do is just push on further. So just go across this water here and take a sharp right hand turn, and what you're going to want to do is come into the enemy's base from this left hand side here. Like I said, there's sometimes a heavy or tank destroyer camp just around here, so you do need to be careful. If there is something, then just stop, pull back a little bit, wait for your bigger guns to take that tank out, and then just push on with this route here. What you're going to want to do is just swing in. Sticking to the far right hand side here will keep you stealthed as long as possible, especially from the enemy's artillery, which will generally be in this position here. So once you get here, you can probably pick yourself up a couple of easy kills taking out their artillery. And now we come on to the final route for spawning at base number 2. As you'll remember, we've already covered taking and scouting the middle, and it's very similar for spawning at base number 1 or base 2, so we only covered that once. So route number 2 for spawning at base number 2 is going to be going down the left hand flank, and this technique is a lot more aggressive than the first one, so you're only going to want to take this if you're a lot more confident of your abilities, or a lot more confident of your tank's abilities. Maybe if you've got a better armor and a better gun. But what you're basically going to want to do is come up to the village and take up position in this bush, which is fantastic for stealth as it wraps all the way around your tank, so you're going to be very hard to spot. But you should have good eyes on the enemy moving through the village. Now if you don't see anybody in that position, or you feel you can get further up without being spotted, you're going to want to continue up the left hand flank. Remember to stay close to the cliff, as it puts the greatest distance between you and the enemy's likely path. Now this position that we're going to show here is fairly difficult to get to right at the start of the game. But if you're confident of your tank speed, this is another great position. Now I wouldn't recommend trying to use this as a second position, as you will most likely get spotted moving into it if it's later on in the game. But if you do take this one originally, it gives you a fantastic view of the village there, and it'll show you any enemy heavy tanks moving through there for your artillery and your other guns to take out. Once you're ready, once this area's been cleared, or you get spotted, or you feel the time is right, you can then push on to the enemy's base. What you're going to want to do is you're not going to want to do the push all at once, because there'll generally be a heavy tank or a tank destroyer or two watching the base. So what you're going to want to do is take up a position in this bush next to this rock and just try and do some spotting. The rock gives you good cover from the right hand side if you don't hold the hill, and it also gives you cover if you get shot at from the front. You can fall back behind the rock and use that as cover. Once you're confident that the area is clear enough, you can then push on to the base. Again, you're going to want to stick to the far left hand side, as it's only sort of the last possible second, it's only as you crash through that fence there that anybody in the base should be able to spot you. And again, you just move up to where the artillery should be camped, which is around about here, and try and get yourself a couple of kills. So, thank you very much for watching episode 2 of our Light Tank series. Don't forget to like or favourite this video, and you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel for future guides, tutorials and tips for World of Tanks. Thank you for watching.